We're going to build the best Premier League 11 outside the Big Six. Let's start with the goalkeeper.
It's got to be unanimous. Just based off like legacy and what he's done. Although this season they've not been the best defensively, I think you've got to have Emi Martinez in there.
1,000,000%. He's literally just won the Ballon d'Or award for being...
Although weirdly, I wouldn't even put him in the top 5 keepers in the world.
No, not in the world, but
the fact he's won the Yashin Award is weird to me.
Outside the Premier League Big Six, he's definitely the pick.
Yeah, I mean, just based on everything.
Easiest option.
Yeah.
Let's move on to left back. Who have you got?
At left back, I've got Anthony Robinson.
Oh.
Fulham. I think, but just to clarify, I've based it off this season only. I've not taken anything else into account. Just the 10 games of the Premier League this season. He's got 4 assists, I think. He's been very... Fulham are in the top 10. He's been very prominent on getting Raul Jimenez winning headers, crossing it in, takes their corners.
I've got a future England left back, the Ipswich man, Leif Davis. Seems like a rogue shout.
Worse than mine.
Hear me out. One of their best players in the Championship last year, got the most assists in the Championship. He's come up, already had a couple assists in the Premier League, looks solid defensively, even though it's his first year playing at this level. I think in a couple of years he's going to be there. And I think right now he would get into pretty much every team in the Premier League as a left back. I don't know if you've watched Ipswich much. He is incredible. He's by far their best player.
I know he scored a good goal the other day.
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't even take that into account.
I think there's too many better players.
Nah.
Emerson,
Leif
Mitchell,
Davis.
Anthony Robinson.
Leif Davis. Every day. I've seen a lot of him though. I know the levels that boy is capable of, and I know that he's going to go on to huge things, and he's already good. Centre backs, who have you got?
Okay, one of them, because I think he's been top 3 centre backs this season. Nottingham Forest is Milenkovic. Van Dijk is the only player this Premier League season to have been dribbled past less than Milenkovic.
That is an impressive stat. I've taken a more holistic view though. I've not just gone off the last 10 games, which means there's neither Forest centre backs in my 11 here. My first is another Aston Villa player in Pau Torres.
Ooh,
great player. Obviously, one of the key components in taking them back up to being a top 4, at least top 4 challenging Premier League team. They've had an incredible start in the Champions League as well. He's obviously got that legacy. He's won the Europa League. He's just such a great centre back. I think he's better than a lot of the options. Like he'd get in the Spurs team, he'd get in the Man United team.
I get that, but I think I'd rather up for Ezri Konsa.
Nah, Pau Torres got that bit of class about him. A bit better on the ball. I'm definitely going with him. Who's your other centre-back?
So once again, probably going to get a stick for this. Purely based on the last 10 games, Van Heck from Brighton. That's their main centre-half. Got a couple of assists and got a goal this season. Very strong. Brighton play very progressive football, as we know. And he's similar to Murillo at Forest when they just drive the ball. And he's got really good link-up play with the wingers because they're very much wing way with Matoma and Dingra. And whether it's long balls out to them or long balls up to Rutter, he's just a very progressive centre-half.
Okay, I respect that shout. I think we're going to have very different 11s here because you've just based it on 10 games, or have I've kind of taken a year.
Maybe I should have.
A year into account. My second shout is Branthwaite.
Okay.
At Everton. Obviously, there was big money moves talked about in the summer, but I think Everton's squad is really poor, and he was one of the main reasons that they stayed up last year. So I simply had to have him in there. I appreciate they've had a relatively poor start to the season again, but I think he's going to end up at one of the bigger teams, and I think he'll fit right in. So I'm more than happy to have him in there.
Right back for me, I think is going to be very different. I've got another Forest man.
Oh my God. You are glazing Forest way too much. They've had 10 good games.
Okay. Ole Einar. Okay, he's got 0 points. They've got the third best in the league for expected goals conceded, like least. He's in the top 90%, 93% in the league for successful dribbles. He's got the most in the league for fouls won, and he's got a goal and an assist. Ole Einar is one of the, if not the main reason, other than Chris Wood, for why Forest are doing as well as they are.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I just think that you're getting way too overexcited about these Forest players, man. Maybe if we were towards the end of the season, I'd appreciate it a little bit more. But this early in, I can't be hyping him up that much. And that's why I've gone for a man who has consistently been great in the Premier League, despite the fact he's always injured, and that's Kieran Trippier. outside the big six?
I strongly disagree.
You strongly disagree?
Purely because...
Do you not think he's more talented overall as a player than most right backs outside the big six?
I get that, but that season he wasn't good.
No, last season he wasn't that great, but I still think the quality's there. And when you say he wasn't that great, he wasn't particularly awful. It was more just he didn't live up to the things that you envisioned that he could.
Because, I mean, the season before last, he was really good.
Other than the fact he's injured 95% of the time. But let's move off that. Let's move on to the centre midfielders. Who have you got as your first centre mid?
I think I'm going to go with one that I think we should both have, and that's Bruno G. Bruno Guimaraes. I think he's got to be. He's a one-of-one footballer.
Even he's had a bit of a tough start to this season, though.
I get that, but I think you just have to take into account on that one.
I've got him. Yeah. He is one of my centre mids.
Martinez. Bruno G's just an incredible footballer.
Yeah, you know he'd fit into most squads in the world. I don't think we even need to say much more.
I don't think there's a Premier League squad he wouldn't get
into. City when Rodri's fit, obviously. Would he get into Arsenal?
Partey.
Yeah, true. Actually, I just think of Rice. Yeah. Okay. I'm not debating it. As I say, he's in my 11. Let's quickly move on to the other centre midfielder, which I think we should both have as well, and that's Onana.
Ooh.
Have you not got Onana?
I've gone with Tielemans.
Oh,
I've gone with the other one.
All right, I can respect that. I thought you were going to have a really rogue shout.
No.
Give your reasoning for Tielemans.
Tielemans, I mean, he's got more goals contributions this season than Onana. And I've seen a couple, when researching, I was watching a couple of Aston Villa fans, and they've said he's been better than Onana. Yeah,
I mean, Tielemans is a special player, especially when he was at Leicester. He was really good. And I mean, now, his first bit at Villa, he was a bit overweight, didn't look fantastic, but he's certainly pulled that back and turned really well again. Onana, for me, again, it's because I'm taking a little bit of last season into account, where he was one of the key players that kept Everton up. Obviously, they brought in so much money for him. And again, I think without him, it shows that he can be a pivotal player in a team. And he's already stepping up when he's playing for Villa and doing well in massive competitions. So both shouts are completely valid.
It's basically the same player, do you know what I mean?
I think we might have the same attacking mid as well. Who have you got?
I'm very torn. You go first.
My attacking mid is Morgan Gibbs-White.
Ooh, I thought we were going to say the same one then.
What? Who is yours?
Morgan Rogers.
Oh, you're villaring it out now. It's like you've just gone one team to another.
I mean, I'd like to give huge credit to Damsgaard from Brentford. He's been very good this season. But I think Morgan Rogers, I think he's just taken into account last season. He's just been very good all season.
He has.
But Gibbs-White, 100%. I mean, great shout.
As I say, I'm with the other Morgan. Again, maybe it's a bit of small team bias. It's the only Forest player I actually have in here. For some reason, I thought I didn't have one, but I do. Yeah. I think he's just incredible. And especially last season when they were really struggling, he was one of the only standout players, one of the only ones that had pulled him out of situations. And this year when they've levelled up, he still looks in place. So more than happy to have him in there. Let's move swiftly on to the left winger.
Left wing, I've got Anthony Gordon.
Oh, I don't have Gordon, but I could have done. I didn't think of him, actually. Maybe I should have had Gordon. I'm going to back my pick still. Why have you got Gordon?
Gordon, I mean, last season, Newcastle's best player. Arguably, maybe other than Bruno G. 2 goals and assists this season already. He just looks electric. He's the only, especially this season when Newcastle have been a bit underwhelming, even though they beat Arsenal. He's still just energetic, bit of a lifeline for them.
Yeah, he's an exciting player. I really like Gordon. I've gone with another Englishman in Jared Bowen.
On the left?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of his key positions. I know he's played up front a little bit as well and on the right.
He's more of a right and forward than a left.
Is he? Have I got this completely wrong?
I rarely see him on the left.
All right, well, I'm going to stick with it anyway. He's going to be on one of the wings, and I've put him on the left now. But his goal record speaks for itself. He was a key factor in West Ham getting all the way and winning a European Cup. And even now, he's had a couple goals and assists this season. I just love Bowen, and I'm surprised he's never got to move away from West Ham, to be honest. Especially because of English tax and the fact that, Premier League teams need some English players. I think he'd fit in quite well to a lot of bigger teams.
You say that. What bigger teams do you start at?
Well, yeah, that's also the problem. But
won't start Liverpool, won't start Arsenal, won't start City, won't start Chelsea, United. Wouldn't start at Tottenham.
But what I'm saying is, let's say, obviously a lot younger, City bought Grealish for 105 million with a far worse record than Bowen. Obviously a more exciting player, a little bit better on the ball, a bit more skillful. He brings something different. But when I look at Bowen's stats and how many goals he's scored, I'm like, well, why hasn't anyone tried it then? And it does, a lot of it comes down to that English factor as well. You need English players, so why has no one got Bowen? But I suppose he fits in well at West Ham.
It's not a bad shout. Yeah. Just doesn't play on the left.
Who have you got as your right winger?
I feel like we could have the same here.
I think we must, really.
And Mbeumo.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean...
What a season he's having. Oh, my God. Since Tony left, I thought Brentford would be absolutely cabbaged, and he has rescued him.
But, I mean, like, even when he was banned...
Yeah.
And even when Tony came back, Mbeumo was still leading the line. He's got 8 goals this season. Incredible record last season. I think Mbeumo is... He should be out of bigger team. And he's still young. I look at him and I think you're definitely 37.
Well, I think if he has a good rest of the season, anywhere near the levels he's playing at right now, yeah, he'd get to most big teams, I think. I'm happy. This has been all right, other than your Forest mishap.
No, I stand by Milenkovic. I know, you know.
All right, let's go with who you've got up front then.
Not on a Forest. Okay, maybe I should have thought about Watkins and Isaac, but this season they've still not been as good as Wood. But since Nuno Espirito Santos has come into Forest, only Haaland and Palmer have more goals than Wood.
Chris Wood is a solid Premier League striker. He always comes up with a couple of goals. Like, even before Santa, you'd expect him to get, at least 10 goals in a season overall, which I know isn't particularly groundbreaking, but for a Forest... that is all right. Like, that's decent.
But he's going to get that, and it's not even November.
Yeah, no.
Barely in November.
His start to the year has been great, and I think
he'll carry it through.
Forest have built a team that works around him really well, if that makes sense. They're getting lots of crosses in. They're getting the ball in the box, and Chris Wood is just going to put them away if it gets put in front of him like 80% of the time. I saw a stat the other day. He's got like one of the best finishes per expected goals.
Yeah.
He actually does just put them away. If he can keep that up, he's going to have a banging season. And yeah, I don't mind Chris Wood as a shout, but mine is the obvious Ollie Watkins. Same goal contributions as Erling Haaland last season. Not mentioned enough. Didn't get a look in at the Euros. A real shame when we've got a crocked Harry Kane up there running around like my grandma trying to get up the stairs. But Ollie Watkins is a special player, and he's still relatively young as well. I think he's got a fair few years of scoring 20 plus goals a season in the Premier League left. And while Villa are doing this well, why not stay there and do it there?
I've got a question for you. I mean, I get why I've not, because I've gone just this season, but why not Isaac?
Isaac last season was great, and I think that...
I think Isaac's a better footballer than Watkins.
Isaac's a better footballer, but he's not a better striker.
Yeah.
Like, Isaac's better on the ball. He's got a bit more excitement about him, if that makes sense. But I just think that Watkins is a better out-and-out striker.
Okay.
Should we go on to a quick bench? Have you got a bench for this?
I've not, but I can spitball.
Well, I'll just tell you mine, and you can agree or disagree. My bench is in net Pickford.
No.
He was Premier League goalkeeper of the year last year, practically saved Everton.
Nick Pope.
Left back and the only full back, I've got Digne.
Digne is a great shout.
Yeah,
he kind of getting into mine.
Dropped off a little bit for a while, but now he's back to being incredible. Centre back, I've got Burn at Newcastle.
Not Botman.
Botman's great. I don't know why. I think I have a bit of love for Burn just because he's
English
massive.
Bias.
Yeah, English bias, and just because he feels like an old school centre back who's just massive and
just a big fucker.
Yeah, you just want him there. When your team concedes a corner, if you've got him, you're happy. I'll quickly go through the others. Attacking mid, I've got Paqueta. And then I've got two forwards in Wood and Isaac. So actually the ones that we kind of mentioned that didn't quite get in my 11, I've got in the subs. But should we quickly run through the whole 11 and then we'll call it a day?
One more point. I find it interesting that neither of us had any Bournemouth players. To say they've been pretty good for 2 seasons now. Yeah,
I just don't really see anyone standing out for them as such. It's very much a team effort.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. I think maybe come the end of the season, should they have another good year, there could be a Bournemouth player in there, or maybe even 2. But Theo, do you want to give your full team?
My Premier League best non-Big 6 11. Emi Martinez in net. Ola Aina in right back. Milenkovic centre back with Van Heck. Left back Anthony Robinson. A 2-man midfield of Bruno G and Tielemans. Damsgaard in the 10. Right wing is Mbeumo, left is Anthony Gordon, and the striker is Chris Wood.
The best starting 11 outside the Premier League Big 6. In net, I've got Emi Martinez. At left back, it's Leif Davis. A centre-back partnership of Pau Torres and Branthwaite. At right back, Kieran Trippier. Centre midfielders of Guimaraes and Onana. An attacking mid in Morgan Gibbs-White. On the left wing, I've got Jared Bowen. On the right wing, it's Mbeumo, and up front, undeniably, it's Ollie Watkins. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe for more football content.